The topic of today's webinar is accounting automation to ramp up your operations in 2023. My name is Mary Rada. I am the marketing manager at Ximplifi, and I'm excited to be introducing our hosts today. You won't have to listen to me. On the call, we have Jesse and Miles. Jesse is the founder and CEO of Ximplifi, and Miles is the head of marketing at Hospitable. He's been doing webinars. I've watched a few of them, and he is a great speaker and interviewer. So he's taken all of your questions that you've submitted. Thank you for bringing those in. And again, for people who have joined, feel free to submit more questions through the Q&A option in the Zoom webinar. And before I hand it off, I just wanted to let you guys know, we put this session together to help you walk away feeling more knowledgeable about the accounting aspects of your business and more confident in preparing for the next year. So Miles, will you please start us off and give us a quick introduction of Hospitable?
Perfect. Yes, thank you very much, Mary. Hospitable is essentially a short-term rental management software focused on saving you time and helping to increase your bookings. So we allow you to manage your listings on Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and your direct booking website via our software. And we have a pretty great track record. Our customers seem to love what we're doing. And we've been winning quite a few awards recently via G2 and a number of other platforms. Just recently, actually, we were ranked 14th fastest growing software for 2023 by G2, which is obviously an amazing accolade that we're really proud of. And if we just skip over to the next slide. So what we do essentially is we're focused on turning hosting into more of a passive income, really focused on saving you time on some of those tasks that are very repetitive and can be handled by software, essentially. So we automate 90% of guest messages for our hosts. And we do that without sounding robotic. So we use AI to kind of power those messages and basically allow you to, answer simple things like what's the Wi-Fi password and can I get a late checkout without you having to, be up late at night sending those and for you to be able to send those in a very fast time. We also allow you to sync your calendar across booking channels. So you can make sure you don't have any double bookings. We also have a centralized inbox, which again allows you to kind of manage messages for listings listed across different channels, all in one place. And we also allow you to auto-generate tasks for your team. So you can remind cleaners when it's time to go and clean a property based on a checkout time. So you can make sure that you're not missing any cleanings there as well. And then something that we're launching very soon, we're actually looking at building out a direct booking solution that promises to be a hassle-free approach to direct booking. And the idea behind this is that we want to give hosts more control over their properties and how they let them out. Obviously, with the likes of Airbnb and Vrbo, you're very much at the mercy of their algorithm. And we want to put the power back into hosts' hands with their direct booking solution. Obviously, that typically comes with a bit more risk involved with unknown guests. What our direct booking solution will be providing is integrated guest vetting powered by AutoHost and $5 million worth of damage protection for every booking powered by Superhog. And that's really going to help you to kind of run that without the risk or the worries involved potentially with going it on your own. So that's something exciting and new coming from Hospitable very soon.
All right.
And Jesse, I believe this is for you to introduce Ximplifi.
Yes, thank you. Just quick about Ximplifi. And I guess a little bit of background about myself too, is that I actually started off, I spent about 10 years in public accounting and then became a CFO of a high-end luxury real estate investment and real estate property company several years ago. And that's where I started learning all about the industry, as well as starting to look at different ways to solve the accounting and finance problems of the industry. And from there, looked at the industry and said, man, not a lot of people are looking to solve these problems. And so we thought, hey, we think we have a good idea of me and my co-founder. We had a good idea of how we could solve this, and we do that really in two ways. One is with people and processes, basically providing professional accountants that are specialized in this industry and understand this industry. And then the second is with our tech stack, starting with our integration platform that plugs into great property management systems, award-winning property management systems like Hospitable, and gives folks a new way to handle the accounting issues, especially trust accounting and owner reporting, by plugging in their property management system and connecting that with best-in-class accounting systems like Sage Intacct, QuickBooks, or Xero, whatever the accounting system that accounting software that best meets their business needs. And so, that's where we got started, and basically that's all we do is provide technical solutions or accounting and advisory services to this industry. And so been doing that for about 5 years now, and that's who we are and what we solve. And so we're looking forward today to talking about all things exciting about accounting for vacation rentals.
Great. Thank you very much, Jesse. So I guess enough about us for now. And let's kind of focus on exactly, the meat of today's presentation. So this is just kind of a quick overview of some of the things that we're going to discuss today. So I'm going to kick things off in just a minute with an outlook for 2023 for vacation rental managers. Then we're going to go on to some challenges around accounting for vacation rental managers. And then we're going to move on to how to use automation to scale your business. And as Mary mentioned at the start, we're then going to finish with some Q&A. So we do have some pre-prepared questions that were submitted by people that registered. But if you do have any of your own questions, feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom. We'll try to get to those at the end of the session as well. So looking at the 2023 outlook for vacation rental managers, just looking at some of the industry data that we're seeing lately, and some of the reports that are coming out, essentially we're really seeing that there's some really positive news coming out from the industry that 2023 is a high growth potential year. We're starting to see some big recovery from COVID, and it looks like it's going to continue. Airbnb just released their earnings report for the last quarter of 2022. They saw significant growth, and they're expecting to see that growth into 2023 as well. Q4 for them, revenues were actually up 24% from the same period in 2021. So that's quite impressive to see. And obviously, we're expecting that property managers will get the windfall from that as well, as they see increases. And then just an AirDNA report on the 2023 short-term outlook as well. So the data shows us that the vacation rental industry has more cause to stay optimistic than despair, as travel tailwinds still have the power to overcome economic headwinds. And just some data there showing again that we are expecting to see an increase in demand year over year. There is, to some degree, an increase in supply. So that could mean some lower occupancy in some areas. But as the AirDNA report suggests, we should expect the tailwinds to be better than the headwinds. And therefore, it should be a bright year for everyone out there, and we should see some growth. But that kind of gets us on to kind of some of the things we should be thinking about as we grow, and how we can make things a bit easier on the accountancy and automation front.
Yeah. I'll just add on that, if you don't mind, just because we do the accounting for so many different, and I'd be interested to see your take on what you see from being a booking engine, or a property management system that works with booking engines. We have kind of seen, similar things with our clients, right? It's like the they've continued to grow their supply. They've seen occupancy come down. They've seen prices rise. I've usually seen a little bit of a decrease if we look at like kind of what I'll call same store or same listings year over year. We've seen about a 10% decrease. And so, margins are a little bit lower, right? So you're basically earning less with the same inventory. So seen it come down a little bit, although I would say 2021 was really a historic year for the industry. But we still see things continue to grow. We still have we talk to a lot of people every week, and as we look around with all of our integration partners, they continue to grow too. So anyway, it seems that what we see kind of reinforces everything that you just talked about. So I'll jump to why accounting for vacations rentals is a challenge. Probably everybody on this call has seen it. We take calls from 10 to 15 prospects a week that talk about the challenges of accounting for vacation rentals. One is that when we talk about requirements for trust accounting or just trust accounting in general, although a lot of people don't really actually follow trust accounting, and I'll define that probably a little bit later, but really what trust accounting is all about is, hey, you're taking in a lot of money on behalf of other people, and you have to keep track of all that money that you have that is then owed to other people. And when we think about all the different channels, all the different ways you get paid, all the different ways that those charges come through, how the money is split from charge to charge. Pet fees go to the owner for some clients, they go to the management company for others. Cleaning fees, same thing. What's your basis for calculating your management commissions? How do you handle merchant fees? There's just all of these things, and then reconciling, hey, how did I get paid for all of my reservations? Does my owner get the money and then I invoice them, or do I take all the money in and then create an understatement, pay them out? And then we talk about materiality, right? A $1 or $2 difference might be material to an owner, whereas in a normal business, $1 or $2 error or something, it just isn't a big deal. So it's a very precise process, and so automating that precision, or just handling that precision in any way can be really challenging. And we haven't even got into, hey, how do you handle billable expenses and make sure that you're not eating money that you should be charging to your owner. So there's just so much that goes in to accounting for vacation rentals, that it can be challenging. It can be time consuming. And I'll say that even with some of our automation or with our platform, we feel we've made things a lot easier, but it's still a challenge. You still really need some expertise, and it takes some time to get it right. So finally, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but people focus so much on getting their owner statements right and paying their owners out correctly. They can quickly lose sight of their own financials. What's their bottom line? What's the net income they're making on a per reservation or a per unit basis? What's their fixed expenses on a per unit basis? What's their net income as a percentage of rent revenue? All of these things are really critical metrics to be understanding about your business, and understanding the reporting of how you're performing, not only how your owners are performing. And so that becomes really important, and sometimes also can be challenging. But those are all things that we'll continue to talk about. And so, just talk about how we work together. Again, I talked about it earlier. We've built VR platform as an integration platform. Well, and actually, I'll take a quick step back in saying that when we first started, we had a lot of folks come to us using platforms like Escapia, or actually, I probably shouldn't throw out a lot of names. I'll just say a lot of property management systems that have their own built-in accounting platforms. And they were all a disaster. And folks wanted us to get in, A, clean up their disaster, and B, figure out how to use those systems, basically built-in accounting platforms within property management systems. And look, I spent 10 years with the largest public accounting firm in the world, and I found all of these systems extremely hard to work with and extremely hard to figure out, extremely hard to automate, very manual, and they didn't, what I'll call, play well with others. And so we said, hey, there's got to be a better approach. And so what we began to do was build our integration to plug into systems like Hospitable, where Hospitable becomes your booking tool, your property management tool, essentially your point of sale system. And we plug in to those systems and then use easy to use systems like that people are familiar with, like QuickBooks or Xero, to drive your trust accounting as well as your operations accounting in one true source of data, so to speak. And it we've found that it really simplifies accounting processes as well as reporting. And so that's exactly how we work with Hospitable. We find systems like Hospitable that are great tools that people love to use, easy to implement. They've got great guest messaging, helps them grow their bookings. At the same time, have a great API, easy to integrate with, and we plug in to that system and then start driving the data over to the QuickBook or the accounting software of choice, and begin using that accounting software to reconcile payments and figure out and pull the data into an owner statement to report and pay out owners, as well as, again, report your own operations from an accounting standpoint. So that's how we work together, and really excited, again, to continue to grow with partners like Hospitable. I just spoke a little bit on this, but everything that I talked about as opposed to having your accounting within a property management system, so to speak, is that we believe in the best-in-class approach. Choose the property management system that best fits all of your needs, or maybe doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you need because you're smaller and you want something that's just easier to use. And then on the back end, choose the accounting platform that's best for you. Is that QuickBooks or maybe Xero, that are fairly easy to use, really built for small businesses? Or are you scaling and you need a system like Sage Intacct, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but is a more powerful platform, has multiple entity capabilities, as well as much more powerful KPI reporting and just reporting in general. And so that way, hey, you go out, choose the PMS based on all the booking, sales and marketing, guest management functionality. Don't choose a PMS because of accounting, and then use our integration platform to plug into that PMS and then bring over to the accounting software that best meets your needs. And so whenever I talk about best in class, that's really what we're talking about. And then we can also talk about, hey, how do we add other tools like AP management, payroll, credit card spend, tools, et cetera, to continue to automate all the accounting functionality of your business. I talked a bit about owner statements again. So what we do, and I won't get too much into the granular details, but effectively, as a booking occurs within Hospitable or any property management system that we've integrated with, that those invoices and payments come over to your accounting software. It's invoices with payments applied to them. You can apply different rules to say, hey, what revenue goes where? How does your revenue get split between you and the owner? As well as booking different types of expenses to that owner. If you obviously you likely have different property expenses that need to be billed to the owner, and so those things all again are coded, reconciled within your accounting software of choice, and then we use that data to pull out into our own owner statement report writer that produces your owner statement. You can review it, publish it, and then also your owners are a bill is created automatically to pay out your owners. So again, really look to seamlessly provide a seamless process for the accounting from booking to owner payout. And as I talked about, hey, don't forget about your own business. Very, very important to understand how you perform. What are your metrics? What's your net income? What net income are you earning on a per unit basis on average? What's your net revenue as a percentage of gross revenue? Gross room revenue. Those are metrics that we typically are helping our clients understand. What's your fixed cost on a per unit basis? Those are things that are really important to understand. How you're performing, how you're going to continue to grow, how are you going to be profitable, and are you profitable as much as you should be compared to your peers. All right. Well, great. I just did plenty of talking, so I guess I'll throw it back to you and see what questions we got.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we don't have any in the Q&A yet, but as I said at the start, we did have some from folks as they were registering. So we'll start off with those, but please, folks, if you do have any more questions as we talk through, feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom, and we'll get to those at the end. So first off, Jesse, we've got a question around trust accounting. So the question is simply, should property managers be using trust accounting? Maybe you can delve a little deeper onto what trust accounting is as well.
Yeah. Well, as I talked a little bit earlier, is that trust accounting is effectively tracking the money that you have that is owed to other people. And I always look at it in two ways. You have your trust asset, your trust bank account, right? The cash. And let's first talk about that. If you're going to use trust accounting, you really should segregate your money between the money that you're bringing in from guests, and then that money then is going to be paid out to for trust liabilities, owners, maybe vendors that you're paying from the trust account, and segregate that from your operations accounting. And also you're holding that money until it is actually earned, meaning I might have advanced deposits that I'm going to hold in that trust account until at which time that money is earned and payable to my owner or payable to myself or for sales taxes, et cetera. And so the bottom line is that trust bank account has a balance, and there's trust liabilities that should equal that balance. And those trust liabilities include 5 different things. They include advanced deposits. They include amounts payable to the owners, amounts payable to sales, lodging and occupancy tax authorities, perhaps other vendors if you have AP that you're paying out of your trust account, and then lastly is really the money that is owed to you as the property manager. So you can almost look at this trust as like a separate entity, a separate bank account that is a big bank balance, and then you say, hey, well, who is owed all the money within that bank balance? And so that's really what trust accounting is. So why do we follow trust accounting, and why do we require every client of ours to follow trust accounting? It's very simple in that, there are certainly states that have requirements around it. And so it's very important to follow the law and be within the regulations of your particular state. But second is that and there's two other really key reasons why we feel it's paramount to follow trust accounting. The first is just that there's a fiduciary duty that you're taking on as a property manager. You're bringing money in that is not yours. And it's very important that that fiduciary responsibility is taken seriously, in that you understand the money that isn't yours and what money is owed to those other property owners. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, it's that if you don't follow trust accounting, it can easily become very difficult to understand your true cash position. And what I mean by that is you can quickly be fooled by a big bank balance, but all that money, or a lot of the money in that bank balance, isn't yours if your operations cash is combined with your trust cash. And so to understand your true cash performance and cash position, it's very important that you segregate that cash from operations and your trust accounting. So look, there's certainly states that don't require it, but for us, it's non-negotiable to work with us, and we think it's it's absolutely best practice and something that should be followed by everybody in the industry.
That makes sense. I think my favorite tip from that was probably that you should follow the law, and obviously it's a requirement in some states, but it sounds like it's a best approach for most people anyway. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Cool. So the next question kind of relates to that, I guess. Is it better to let the income flow through the owner and invoice, or have the income come to the property manager and then pay out?
Yeah, good question. I think first and foremost, we won't work with clients that have the money flowing to the owner, and I guess my answer to why we do it that way is simple. One, you'll never be able to follow trust accounting if money is flowing that way. If you have advanced deposits, if there's some sort of refund, you've got to somehow get that money back, and so you have no control over that trust accounting, so to speak, if money is flowing to your owner. Second is that you are likely incurring, certainly if you're a full service property manager, you're incurring costs on behalf of your owner. And so, from a cash flow perspective, it's really hard to sit there and float owners the money that you're going to be spending on their property. And so, and third is that we never see, Airbnb be 100% right, or a property management system be 100% right. And there's always a reconciliation of, hey, this was my booking and what actual cash did I receive? And if you don't know actually what cash is actually being paid out, which I guess you can log into VRBO and Airbnb and all that and see it, although I've seen mistakes between reporting and what cash actually hits the bank, but it becomes really hard to reconcile all that. And so, for those reasons, again, we just highly recommend that letting money flow to the owner just is not best practice. The one time that I've seen this sometimes come into effect is some jurisdictions where there's like you don't have exclusivity, and so the owner wants the deposit in order to book the property. Usually that's in some sort of high-end luxury environments. So I guess that could be the one exception, but our rule of thumb is hey, that is not best practice.
Okay,
it's not best practice to have money flow to the owner. It's best practice to have money flow to you. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you. So I guess again, this kind of relates to trust accounting to some degree. So someone was asking about, do I need accounting software? And if so, what accounting software should I use? And they've basically followed that up with, and what about, how does trust accounting play a part in that, in choosing which software?
Yeah. Well, again, we certainly feel that having an accounting software is extremely important. Um, we're certainly biased at the same time too, because we're accountants. But what we see way too often, or a lot of folks that come to us, is people have some sort of spreadsheets that they're just kind of tracking money in and money out, but there's no true reconciliation process. And they might be downloading a bunch of all their bookings from say Hospitable, and somehow doing some pivots or some different if formulas to create understatements. But again, they're not reconciling all those bookings to cash. And it just doesn't become a good way to track that money that is owed to owners, and the money that you're earning. And then third, it becomes really hard to report and understand how your own business is performing. Could you get by with that if you're managing 1 to 3 properties or something? Yeah, I suppose so. But if you're looking to grow at all, having the right system in place, having the right certainly property management system, and then again, certainly our tool, or what we believe in, is then integrating with the right accounting software to automate a lot of that stuff. As far as which one to choose, I mean, look, QuickBooks and Xero, I think are two. They're certainly the most popular, very user friendly. At the same time, I think some people can get a little out over their skis, where you still need to be an accountant. You still need to have some level of or not accountant. You don't have to be an accountant to use those softwares, but there's some training, there's some learning that has to be done. And so if you're not comfortable with that, then finding the right professional to help you with it is a good idea.
Great. And I feel like you've answered the next question I was going to ask. So I was going to ask around best in class, and why best in class. But, it sounds like you're selling us there that, you should be choosing the software for your needs for kind of each individual area of the business, and choosing the best software for that. So
Right.
Instead of, choosing property management that's trying to do some accounting as well, choosing property management software that's right for you and what needs to be done there, and then choosing the right accountancy software for that part of the business and that process.
Right. Definitely.
Great. So then I think we just had one more question that came in pre-webinar, and then we do have 1 or 2 more in the chat. So we'll get to those in a second.
Okay.
So this is around lodging tax. So how do you recommend handling lodging tax compliance for managing properties across multiple states?
Yeah. Well, we largely don't. We work with Avalara to do that. And I'll use this time to plug we've got an upcoming webinar in April with Avalara and my lodge tax. I will tell you that again, I feel I'm very experienced in the industry, in accounting in general. There's nothing more challenging than managing and making lodging tax and reporting lodging tax, and keeping up with all of the licenses and reporting requirements by local municipality, county jurisdictions, state jurisdictions, etc. How lodging and occupancy taxes are reported by channel, and by property oftentimes. And so for that reason, we as a firm decided, hey, well, we're just going to go work with the experts in this arena, and that being My Lodge Tax by Avalara. And so we know that they're always going to make sure that us and our clients are in compliance with the right licenses, that we understand and know what taxes should be being collected for each jurisdiction, each property listing, and then they're also going to help streamline the filing of those taxes. So the ability to report our income by unit to Avalara, and my lodge tax, and then they go to all the different jurisdictions and report that revenue, and file the taxes on us or our client's behalf, is how we manage it. Because especially once you start growing, hundreds of units, multiple states, or shoot, even less than hundreds of units, it becomes challenging. And so, that's what we've chose and how we manage it. We actually have just started development of our own sales tax reporting dashboard within VRP, that will, so kind of similar to an owner statement dashboard, it'll be a sales tax reporting dashboard that will basically report all of your different units and sales tax owed by property, by channel, and then that'll also integrate with my lodge tax to streamline sales tax reporting even more. So that's how we handle it. It's not an easy thing. Lodging and occupancy tax compliance is nothing anybody enjoys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, tax in general. Does anyone enjoy tax in general?
Some crazy accountants do, but I got a master's degree in tax and realized very quickly that I had made a bad decision. So I got out.
Good, smart move. So the next question has come from the audience. So Martin asks, does Ximplifi work with multiple currencies? For example, we work with different properties that are set up in US dollars and Chilean pesos.
Yes, we have worked with clients that have multi-currency turned on, assuming that they're using, any of the software that we use, QuickBooks, Xero. We have worked with clients in Sage Intacct that use multi-currencies, but if they're a Chilean-based company, that probably wouldn't be an option. But anyway, yes, we have supported multi-currency and can support multi-currency. It gets a little bit more complicated, but generally the answer is yes, we can help.
Great. So Martin, I guess answer to your questions a yes. Maybe you can reach out for additional support on exactly how that will work.
Right.
Cool. So the next question, Sherry has asked what I think is maybe a very account specific question. I'll ask it, but it may require some follow-up post call. So it's obvious I do not have the correct liability accounts to show deposits taken. Are you able to revamp my chart of accounts for 2023 that includes previously taken deposits from 2022?
Yeah. Part of our onboarding process is getting your beginning balances correct. Certainly taking a look at your QuickBooks and environment, assuming you have QuickBooks, and basically resetting things to support our integration and our processes. So, that answer is yes. I will just say that a lot of times, especially when you're kind of at a new year like this, we actually find it easier just to start a brand new QuickBooks environment, bring over some beginning balances, and kind of start fresh. So not to say that we do that for everyone, but anyway, short answer is yes, and I just gave you the long answer.
Awesome. Okay, so that's a yes there, Sherry. And then that is actually all the questions we've had from the audience so far, unless anyone has any last minute ones they want to throw in for us. Just going to leave it hanging for 30 seconds.
Okay.
And then if not, we'll slowly wrap things up.
Sounds good.
I don't see anyone typing, so I think we can probably move on. I think you've answered everyone thoroughly there, Jesse.
Great. Yeah, well, hey, we love working again with hospitable property management systems like Hospitable that really, streamline the guest management, the property management process, the booking, increase bookings, and then it's obviously the back end is hey, how do I make sure that with all that work and growing my bookings with Hospitable that I'm making the right money and I'm paying my owners right. And so, that's where we love to help. I talked a little bit about Sage Intacct. The one thing I will say, we have a couple clients that on Hospitable that are growing, starting to approach 100 units and they're using Sage Intacct. That is another powerful platform, and we'll encourage you to go check out our website if you want to learn more about that system, because it can really take reporting, owner statements, and everything to another level. So anyway, thank you for having me on, and it's been great.
Thank you. I think I don't know if you want to do one more plug, Jesse, of the webinar that you have coming up in April with Avalara.
Yeah. We'll be like I said, we'll be doing that here coming up in a few months, and really just again talking about why we choose to use MyLodgeTax for taxes. I figured no other, if we can't figure it out as accountants that work in this industry day in, day out, hopefully that'll help people understand, why working with MyLodgeTax makes a lot of sense. So, and we'll also get into the nuances, a little bit more of the nuances of lodging and occupancy tax and reporting in that webinar. So it should be a very educational one that we look forward to hosting with them.
Nice. Sounds good. And then, just a little pitch from our side. So we have a webinar as well coming up March 2nd. So that's with Damien Sheridan. He's the founder and director of the Book Direct show and Scale Rental show. He knows everything about direct bookings. And we're going to be focusing on how to basically increase bookings for your short-term rental, specifically around repeat bookings and kind of, taking that audience from Airbnb and growing it via the direct channel. So, Damien's a great guy. He'll kind of present a bunch of tips and tricks for you, and we'll also obviously have a nice Q&A session there as well. So I'm sure that when Ximplifi send out the follow-up email to that, we'll have a link to that